Hi, everybody. I am on with Terri. How do you say your last name?
Silva-Burrell.
Silva-Burrell. Terri Silva-Burrell. She is a fellow lupus warrior and an inspiration with all the stuff that she has been doing. She is also starting a YouTube channel, which is so fun and I am so excited about. So I'll make sure to post the link. So I just want to hear a little bit about you. My first question is tell me a little bit about your lupus history.
Well, I got diagnosed March 2016. It kind of happened out of the blue. It wasn't something that like how other people have had like symptoms coming like building up to the situation. Mine just happened out of the blue. One day I was in like a couple days I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't move. I couldn't really breathe. My husband was in training, so he wasn't really around much. Everybody just assumed it was just like panic attack because like the whole like tightness of breath, not being able to breathe or whatever. So then we ended up going to a clinic nearby because I couldn't take it anymore. The pain was just unbearable, and this everything was just not fun situation. So we went to one clinic. They attempted to help me. They weren't able to fully help me because at the rate that I mean, at the point where I was, I needed something uh, more hardcore in a sense. So they moved me to another. We went to another clinic, and there they diagnosed me with double pneumonia, pericarditis, parainfusion, um, and a couple of other things that are just big names that I can't really pronounce.
I've had those. Yeah, I've been there.
They treated me. They semi-diagnosed me there. Once I was there for about a little bit over a week. Then they once I got out, we went to a rheumatologist to confirm the diagnosis. They obviously confirmed the diagnosis and um, gave me about 36, give or take, medications to take. Each is about three, four, two dosages a day.
Oh my
So
goodness. That's so
yeah.
many.
So for about the first year and a half, more or less, I was a kind of like a walking zombie because my husband and I we got married in um March 16th. We got married
Don't
March
forget that
16th.
one.
Yeah. And so after that, around July, we did like a honeymoon and like birthday celebration. And I don't remember any of that. So if it wasn't because we took pictures, it was like a huge blur. And it kind of sucks because he was excited about it. And I literally was legit like a walking zombie. We got married. I remember that because we have pictures. And yes, I said I do. And we have videos. But that whole first year and a half was just a huge like blur to me because you have to get readjusted, you have to get adjusted to the medications, readjusting to a whole new life of like not uh having the same energy, same will to do things because you're in such a fatigue, you're in such a pain to do literally everything that once was so normal to you and you can do it in like with no problem, and now everything is a huge problem.
Oh,
So
definitely.
yeah, so that's just a little bit of my lupus experience.
Yeah, most people, when ask them about their lupus, they're like, well, what year do you want to hear about? Because it's been
Yeah,
different every year.
yeah,
Yeah. Oof.
definitely. A lot of hospital visits, that's for sure. Holidays in the hospital, anniversaries in the hospital. So yeah.
Yeah. So, how does your lupus mainly affect you? Like some people, I mean, it's what do they call it? Like the disease of a thousand faces. I think that's the name of it.
Yeah, that's
So
a
like,
yeah.
yeah, it affects everybody differently. How does it affect you specifically?
Well, for me specifically, I deal with a lot of pain, a lot of fatigue. Energy really to have I have none. I try to like have energy because I am young. I try to have energy to do things, and it's hard because again, my husband's super active, so I don't want to be boring and like not do anything with him.
Yeah.
So I get huge headaches, migraines to the point that like it makes me super nauseous, so I throw up. Everything I eat, I end up throwing up. The only downer of all that is that I don't lose weight when I throw up. So like at least it would balance itself out if I threw up the amount of I do and I'm like a perfect like glass figure, which that's not the case because of all the steroids and things that I'm on. Um, I have a lot of complications with my heart and my lungs. I have a history, like I said, of pericarditis and infusion, like nonstop. I've had a clot in my lung. I think that's called
Pulmonary embolism, yeah.
yeah. I've had 3 or 4 by now. So, and I'm on
Goodness.
anticoagulants.
Mhm.
So I don't know why my body still likes to hang out with clots. It doesn't. It's just something that always going to be there. I have rhinoids. I've had which is when you're like
Right,
sensitive
the
to like
hands
cold,
change color.
yeah, white or purple. I've had to have 3 surgeries because of that, that my fingers don't end up going back to the normal color. Yeah, I've gotten ulcers because of the rhinoids because they just stay that color, like the full purple or like full white. Yes, I've had 3 surgeries on that. I'm going on my 4th. It varies, just depends on the day.
Mhm.
That's just the overall like detail. But if you ask me, let's say today is Saturday or whatever, you ask me on a Monday, it's going to be completely different on how it affects me then. I go
Yeah.
to the bathroom a lot. It sucks for
Mhm.
road trips for my husband because we always got to find like kind of he has to map out like where the bathrooms are and stuff because of not only the medications but just my belly doesn't feel good half the time.
Yeah,
So it's always a
definitely.
fun science experiment to go out with me.
But worth it. Well worth it, I'm
I
sure.
hope so. I'm the photographer of the group, so
Oh,
they've
good,
been
okay.
helping me out.
That's awesome. So, that was 2016?
Yeah, that was all like when I first got diagnosed, 2016. So
Okay,
will be 5 years now in March 8th when I was officially diagnosed. It will be 5 year mark for me.
I gotcha. Wow, you are a beast. You are so strong. That is amazing. I think it's so amazing that you're, like, going through all this and you still wanna reach out to people who are also in it at the same time. I know we've talked about this online, but, like, I wished I had that when I was at my worst, and I had pericarditis and pleural
Yeah.
effusion and all those things. I just wished that I could see other people, but it's like so many people just who are going through it don't have the energy or don't have the bandwidth. Tell me what pushed you to start a YouTube channel?
Well, for me, it was always the same thing. Like when I first got diagnosed, it was scary because I didn't know what it was. Like to me, it's something was something completely new. So I learned it as when I got diagnosed because Google is your best friend, but also your worst enemy because you look on Google and they're like, you're dying with
Yeah,
pretty
you'll
much
probably die, like, by
yeah, in the
like,
next
the
like
next
24 hours. Yeah. So it's also not good to just Google. I also try to find like people that have experience because obviously you get the experience from like medical doctors and it's not the same thing because their experience is textbook. So you want the input as a patient because it's like it's a scary road for both not only the patient but like the family members and if you have any friends, the friends that experience you in your downs, you know what I mean? I didn't have any of that when I first got diagnosed. I didn't find anybody that legit, aside from doctors that had videos that would explain what road to expect in this like really long journey. I also have family that's overseas, so it's hard to always like keep posted to them being like, okay, well, I'm in the hospital for like my 105th time and this is what is going on today. You know what I mean? So I figured it was a lot more helpful to be able to explain what it is to have lupus, the journey of it, what lupus is, because not many people understand it. They think anything but what it is. Lupus affects each of us differently. So that's something that, like, for example, what you're experiencing may not be something I experienced. You know what I mean? So it's good to have a lot of input on like aspects of it all to be able to, someone that is new to it can be like, all right, well, this was bad for this person, but this is going to be something that this person's experienced. You know, maybe mine's going to be something better or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just, it's easier to just help people because
Yeah.
it's
So
scary to be alone in it all.
yeah, just telling your story and yeah, I love that. So it's like it's not only like helping people, raise awareness and everything, but it's also like updating your family and
Yeah.
so cool. But I didn't write this down. I prepped her, y'all. I gave her questions that I was gonna ask. But now she's talking and it makes me want to ask more questions. But
For
like
it. Oh,
one thing one thing that you touched on that I think is so interesting is people think lupus is everything but what it really is. What are some misconceptions that you've heard from people about it?
pretty much what lupus is something that is within, like our organs, our tissues, our blood, things like that, that is what gets affected. So when it comes to people who don't know what it is, they see us and they're like, hey, you look perfectly fine. Like, why are you walking around with a pimp stick, which is what I call a cane, on days that I can't walk around, you know what I mean, that I need some help. So
Oh, you're amazing.
you're 32, you should be fine. You shouldn't be walking around with the pimp stick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, it hurts to move, you know what I mean? Sometimes even like brushing my hair, which is something that's so normal for people to do, I can't do because I don't have the energy to like brush my hair or put it in a bun, or not even like sometimes even like my hair, as crazy as it sounds, hurts my head. You know what I mean?
Not
And like,
crazy. I can 100% relate to that. Yeah.
and if you don't have lupus, or like something, like someone that you see on a day to day that has lupus, you don't understand that. Even then, if you don't have lupus yourself, you don't understand like the simple things like,
Because we don't talk about it. Like, we
yeah,
don't talk about, I just brushed my hair for 30 seconds straight and now I have heart palpitations and it feels like I just ran a mile. Like,
yeah, you can have like a heart attack just by brushing your hair or
yeah,
something.
we would be complaining literally all day long. Like, we wouldn't have anything else to talk about. And so, like, people, like, we don't tell people either.
Yeah, so that's some things. And like just in general, like people just assume it's just like a lot of, one of the things is that lupus, people think that it's cancer. It's
Mm,
not. Like if you literally, if you ever look up what is lupus on like a website or something, they always have to say like the first couple sentences is lupus is not cancer.
mhm.
So they that, or they think we're contagious because it's an autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Anywhere that says that is disease, they're like, oh, we have to like walk around with Lysol around this person, or like keep our
Mm,
distance because something, you know what I mean?
yeah. What is the number one thing that you wish everybody knew about lupus?
No, we're not lying. When we say we have like
Bill,
we
yes.
because like I said, like their main like people just see us and they're like, hey, they're young, you know what I mean? They shouldn't feel what they feel, or shouldn't be in the pain that they're in, or they should have energy to go walking like 2 miles, with someone normal can do, you know what I mean? Something that we can't. As much as we want to, as much as we prep for it. Today I walked up, I don't even know how many flights of stairs that in Seattle, from the selfie museum. On the way up, there was like, I don't even know, but that seems like it was like 300 steps. Obviously, I mean, like stairs, it wasn't. It just felt that way. And the second I got up there, I was like, I'm gonna pass out. I needed my inhaler and stuff like that. My husband did it with no problem. Like he just
Yeah.
like walked up there and was, yeah, a little huffing and puffing because there was a lot of steps, but he had no problem with it. For me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna call like 911, like I can't breathe. You know what I mean?
Yes. And you definitely have to take a rest day tomorrow. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I put in all the energy to do stuff today, tomorrow, maybe the next 2, 3 days, I probably won't be able to move anymore. But I had fun taking my selfies at the
Yes.
selfie museum. So
Good.
I guess it's worth it. You know what I mean?
And
But
that's one thing I absolutely love seeing people with lupus do is living anyway. Even if it takes you 3 days to do 1 day worth of things, just like, yes, this is your life. Like, don't I don't know. I regret a lot of things that I did when I was bedridden or that I didn't do when I was bedridden just because I kept waiting to get better and I felt like I was just wasting my life looking back
yeah,
because there are periods of remission, but there are periods of not remission and so living your life anyway is just it's amazing. I love it.
that's one thing for me. I haven't had been able to get remission yet.
Mhm.
That's something that I've heard other people that have lupus that they've been able to go in remission and been fine or whatever. My lupus hasn't been able to go in remission. I haven't been able to like control it. Maybe like a month, give or take, maybe two. But then it comes back and it comes back stronger.
Mm.
Then I ended up in the hospital or I end up with more meds. So I haven't been that lucky one to get remission yet for my lupus.
Oh, I have absolute confidence that it's coming for you. I know it'll be there, and I can't wait to see the journey on YouTube to see when it hits, and I'm really excited about it. Trying to think how many years I was symptomatic before I was able to go in remission. And I had juvenile lupus as well. And so I had flares off and on throughout my childhood and teenage years. But I think I was like full blown symptomatic with, organ involvement and all that stuff. I think it was like 5 or 6 years before I went into remission. So, and everybody was surprised I went into remission so fast. So it's like it's so different for everybody, and I cannot wait to see your journey going into
Yeah.
remission.
Today is actually my 1 year since I started chemo for lupus.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
Are you going to document that too on your lupus
I
journey?
will definitely, yeah. I'm gonna work on that video because today literally is the 1 year that I started. I'm hoping that I can do that as well because there's a lot of like anniversaries that normal people don't celebrate, but I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
This year that I was like, oh, it's just like, I think it was like the first Thanksgiving or something that we didn't spend in the hospital or in like the
Mhm.
emergency room or something, you know? So
Yeah,
not
good.
many people celebrate that, but I do. And my
It's
husband
good.
sort of
Yeah.
knows that too.
The next question I'm going to ask you is, you're a military spouse.
Yes, I
And
am.
so that presents some very unique challenges with lupus. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, for usually someone with lupus, you need to be able to have like a main either primary care or rheumatologist that you can deal with and that could help you because obviously for someone like me, I have a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of stuff like that that I have to see my doctors. As a military spouse, it's hard to be able to settle down and have that like main doctor because usually we're not at each location for longer than maybe 2 3 years. So with that said, it's hard to find like once I manage to settle down and have start managing out my specialists and my doctors and my appointments and things, it's time to get up and move to somewhere else. That's very hard because for a healthy person, it's way easier because you don't really go to the doctors unless you get a cold or just follow-ups or the yearly check-ins or whatever. For me, I have to go because I have to get my see if I'm anemic again, see if I need to get any blood transfusions. Any of my chemo needs to be done and things like that. So it's hard to start all that up again at a brand new location because they don't know you. So, like for example, with my rheumatologist before this location, we had a very rough start because she does not very good at she didn't have really good bedside manners. So I was on a very frustrated day the day I went to go see her. I feel bad. But I wasn't the nicest person. I mean, I was nice, but I was very mean nice
Yeah.
in this way. And so
Direct.
I got my point across to her. I was just so frustrated. I don't know if you ever experienced that you're so frustrated and so mad that you start crying.
Mhm.
But then you're like, why the heck am I crying? I'm not even like sad, but it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
I'm an angry crier. I don't cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm mad.
yeah. So it was one of those. And I literally explained to her, I'm like, hey, just because I can't pronounce the medications that I'm on does not mean I don't know what I'm on. Does not mean what, you know what I mean? I was so angry. Once we settled that, once her bedside manners got a little nicer, we became kind of like close friends in the sense. Like when I was hospitalized, she would go into the hospital and like go see me personally because she knows that like my labs aren't always how it come out. Like for example, like my labs can say I'm perfectly healthy. I have nothing going on, but my symptoms and stuff show otherwise. So thanks to that she was able to do that, she able to find out that I was having a mini stroke once because my labs came out perfectly fine and like there was no problem with like my labs and like my blood work and things like that. But she was like, let's go by these other symptoms, like her symptoms. And so when she was able to do that, she was able to figure out, hey, this is symptoms of a mini stroke. That's why not always, but sometimes you see my face can get a little bit like stuck and like my lips get a little droopy and stuff because I've had it. So it's just the the consequences. I can't think of
Oh,
the word right.
repercussions. Yeah.
Yeah, the consequences of it. So every time you move to a new location, it's hard because they don't know you. They have to get to know you again. Most of them do the whole textbook thing. They go by your labs, and half the time, anybody with lupus understands that labs can tell you you're perfectly fine, you look perfectly fine, but your body's telling you you're dying, pretty much how you're feeling.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes it very, very hard to do it when you're as a military spouse. When you move from location to location, have to start out over.
Yeah. I cannot wait to follow that story. I think it'll be so good. I feel like the world needs your story. I'm really excited about your YouTube channel.
I'm excited too. It's just I'm like one of those that like I suck at talking about myself. I can sit here and talk about other people for days, like with other people about themselves for days since I'm working on being a social worker and a counselor and stuff. So I can sit
Oh,
here
wait,
and
I'm in social work. I didn't know
I
that
know
about you.
when we first got connection, I was like, hey, this is perfect. Not only are you someone that has lupus, but you work in my field. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
combo. So I don't like talking about myself. I don't like being vulnerable. My husband complains about that all the time. But it's just hard. Like it's just not me. I'm a good listener. So I like talking about other people. It's hard for me to be able to be like, all right, well, certain topics, like for example, pregnancy and stuff, is a hard topic for me when it comes to talking about it in general, let alone talking about it on YouTube to like whoever that views it.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be a hard road for me, but I'm excited because I have a lot of ideas of things that I want to be able to share to people because you have to be as transparent as possible so you can help and like bring awareness. So
That's so true.
it's
Well,
gonna be a
good.
fun experience.
Good. I cannot wait. Yeah, I'm gonna post the link to your profile right below this so that anybody watching this can definitely follow along your journey as well. Before we wrap up, I'm gonna do 3 rapid fire questions. The first one is, what show are you loving right now? Like what TV show?
Oh man, we bench watch a lot of stuff, but my all-time favorite would be the Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, and Chicago PD, which is a 3 trilogy on NBC on Wednesdays. In case somebody wants to watch it, it's a good
Awesome.
show, but it has all three, so it works out.
That is awesome. Yeah, I have not gotten into that. I'm more of a Grey's Anatomy girl.
Grey's Anatomy, Station 19,
Yep.
on Thursday. That's
Oh
here
yeah.
in Seattle. So I haven't
That's
gone to
cool.
the place where they record it, but
Uh-huh.
my husband says he's going to take me. So
Oh,
maybe I
that's
do a
awesome.
video of that.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be really good. Okay, next one is, what is your favorite thing about yourself?
Ooh, like I said, it's hard to talk about myself. I'm a little bit on a hard road about that, about talking what I like about myself.
Should I
I
ask him?
let's see, babe, what do you like about me? He says my smile.
Oh, I agree.
But yeah, I'd probably say my smile too, and also like the urge that I have to like help people. That's like the best thing that I like about myself, because like I do that when I go to the hospital, for example. Yeah, I talk about the hospital a lot. I'm sorry. It's just if I'm not home, I'm in the hospital.
Right.
So like I'm there when I'm getting my transfusion or my infusions, and like people around me are sad or whatever, or having a downtime, and like I have games or like coloring, or like I just sit there and talk about them or share my snacks with them. That actually makes me feel good, and
That
like that's something I like about myself.
that is amazing. I love that so much. And that's something common. Like, I mean, I've never heard anybody that comes prepared for other patients. That's really cool. But I've heard that a lot, just where people get so comfortable interacting with people at hospitals. Like whenever I go to an emergency room, I'm always like talking to the people who are also waiting with me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, what are you in for? Like we're in jail or something. And we all just are talking about the things that we're there for. And I don't know, it's so good just to like, everybody's scared. Like nobody wants to be there, and just turning it into like a community. I think that's so beautiful.
It helps. It makes
Yeah.
every and then it helps the nurses too, because sometimes you always get like nurses that are new, or at least I do, and so they never know like how to expect, because sometimes they usually get really mean patients,
Yeah.
and then I'm not an easy patient, so I tend to always start talking to the nurses or the doctors and whatever, and they're like, "You have such a great personality. Somebody in your situations will be like really grouchy, really this and that," and I'm like, I make a humor out of everything because
Yeah.
life is sad as it is, and the fact that my life is literally hanging out in the hospital on the daily and making my friends are usually nurses and doctors. I
Mhm.
have to make the best out of it, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if not, it's a lonely world as already, you know? So
That is
something.
that's amazing. I love that. I love your attitude. That's so good. My last one is, what is your favorite candle scent?
Ooh, there's two actually. One is the Hawaiian, it's like Hawaiian Aloha, it's orange. It's anything Hawaiian smell just because it smells very like, I don't know, that smells relaxing. Now I like lavender. It can't have vanilla though, but it has
You're like,
lavender.
vanilla can go straight to hell, not that one.
Yeah, I don't do vanilla. I don't do vanilla because it gives me a headache.
Oh,
But now I like vanilla. I mean, I'm sorry. Now I like lavender. Before I didn't, but now I found like a nice, like it calms me. When
yeah,
I do meditation or something, I use like the lavender smell or the Hawaiian smell, and it calms me, and it just smells good.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's all my questions. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll make sure to post your link, and yeah, can't wait to watch your story.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Have a good
Mhm.
day.